Hey everyone, welcome to the Nature City Podcasts. I'm Carl Perdelli, your host, and I'm also the CEO and co-founder of Nature City. About 20 years ago, my wife Beth and I started Nature City, and since then, it's been our privilege to serve over 500,000 Americans by offering them the best quality dietary supplements we can make. So today is part 2 of our series on probiotics and prebiotics and why they're so important to your health and how to find a good supplement. If you missed part 1, I strongly encourage you to go back and watch that because we cover a lot of important areas on gut health in general, but more importantly, on the 3 things you need to look for in a probiotic to ensure that the friendly bacteria, the probiotic bacteria in the capsule is alive when you're ready to take the product. Very important. Dead probiotic bacteria, while there can be some benefits of it, it's not what you're paying for, okay? The live friendly bacteria is what you want and what's going to give you the greatest benefits. So just to quickly recap what we talked about last time in that vein, one thing to be concerned about is the difference in what's called CFUs at the time of manufacture versus when you're ready to take the product, okay? CFUs, to remind you, in case you don't remember, colony-forming units, essentially just a measure of the number of microorganisms, the probiotic in the product, capsule itself, okay? What we're seeing is a lot of funny business with respect to CFUs, all right? People are labeling the time of manufacture, how many they have. I showed you an example or explained an example where there was 60 billion CFUs at the time of manufacturing. Now is displayed prominently on the advertising. However, they qualify that and say, when you use the product, you may only have 20 billion left, okay? So alive. So, you lose 67% of your potency, which is not what you're paid for. The other important issue is compatibility of the strains. Most probiotics these days have multiple probiotic strains in them, which is generally a really good thing, but you have to be very careful to make sure those strains are compatible with each other. In other words, they play nice together. Otherwise, they destabilize the formula, and you are likely to end up with a lot more dead probiotics than you hope for, okay? So when you see these products with 10, 12, 15 strains, be very careful, and I'd make sure I'd be careful to question the manufacturer whether or not these are all compatible with each other. In my experience, they're not. Okay. And the final thing we encourage you is to buy probiotics that have a clear capsule. Okay. Why? Well, I showed you this example of what a dead probiotic capsule with dead probiotics looks like versus one where they're alive, and you're not going to be able to see that difference if the probiotic is colored. Again, I encourage you to go back and look at part 1 of this series so you can get a little better description of each of those points. So now we're going to turn to the second key area to look for in a good probiotic supplement is what is done to help help the probiotics arrive in your intestines alive. We want them to arrive alive. And that's a challenge because the stomach can be very disruptive to these live bacteria. The stomach acids, bile and all kinds of other stuff can get in the way of the survival of the probiotics. So we need to take some extra precautions to help these probiotics arrive alive. And then it's more importantly, once they arrive in the intestines, can they colonize, right? Can they colonize and flourish? So basically, if your probiotics don't bind to your intestines and colonize, essentially what happens? You just poop them out. And they're really of very limited value, if any value at that point, right? So that's what we're going to talk about in this episode. And respect to ensuring probiotics don't get destroyed while in the stomach, okay? There's a couple of ways to do this. First, I will tell you many good probiotic suppliers these days, they're kind of breeding the probiotic bacteria to be a little more resilient. It doesn't fully protect them from what goes on in the stomach, but helps a little bit. We take it one step further. We use a special capsule called a DR capsule. Okay, I'm not sure if the DR stands for delayed release or something else, but basically what a DR capsule does, a normal capsule will dissolve in your stomach in about 15 minutes. Maybe a little less, a little more, depending on your what's going on in your stomach, right? DR caps will start dissolving after 52 minutes. Okay, as the capsule is essentially leaving the stomach and starting to enter your intestines. Okay, so and then it'll fully dissolve over the next 2 hours while in your intestines. So why is that important? Well, the capsule not dissolving essentially protects all that live bacteria from being destroyed or impacted by the stomach acids, and the other things in the stomach that can cause it harm. Okay, so it's a nice kind of elegant way, in my opinion, of helping the probiotic bacteria arrive alive in your intestines. Look, nothing is perfect. Okay, with these capsules, you probably have maybe a 90% survival rate, is the number I think I've seen using the DR capsules. But this is probably the most natural way of protecting the probiotic bacteria from the stomach. I mean, there's, you see some other products that use kind of like these synthetic coatings and chemicals. We do whatever we can to avoid that stuff. All right. We just want to keep the product as natural as we can. The other thing, DR capsules, I should mention, they are veggie capsules. Okay. So they're not made from gelatin. Even if you're not, and most probiotics do this and from what I've seen, you always want to use a veggie capsule or something made from cellulose when taking a probiotic, just because it's more, or when buying a probiotic, I should say, just because cellulose is much more effective than gelatin at keeping out moisture. Okay, one of the things we covered in part one was moisture is deadly to live probiotics. Okay, so you want to protect your probiotics from moisture, and cellulose does a much better job at doing that than, say, a gelatin capsule. And then with DR caps, it takes it one step further. Again, it's a delayed release on dissolving of the capsule. Doesn't start dissolving for 52 minutes, and most of the powder gets emptied over the next hour or two, which really helps the probiotics. Really just protects it from what goes on in the stomach. Okay, so the other thing that's often overlooked when people discuss probiotics is the ability of the different strains to bind to your intestines. Okay, it's one of the things we look for when selecting probiotic strains. There's a lot of important things. What's the ability for it to survive while it's in the capsule? What's the ability? Is it compatible with other things? And of course, has there been any benefits shown with these probiotic strains, right? Any particular health benefits? And then there's the ability to bind and colonize in your intestines, right? Because again, if not, they just get excreted and they're no value to them. All of the probiotic strains we chose for our True Life PB probiotic have this ability. Okay, so they've been shown the ability to bind, the binding ability, and then they can colonize with the help of prebiotics, right? Prebiotics are food for these probiotics and provide nourishment. And, with the help of prebiotics, the probiotic strains you're getting from True Life BP can then flourish and really help give you what you're seeking in terms of gut health improvements. Okay, so the two probiotics I should mention that we include I should say two prebiotics. You do this all day, you can get confused, but we do include two prebiotics in our True Life PB product. Okay, one is called Actazin. It's a kiwi extract. Okay, and what's nice about Actazin, one of the reasons we chose it, it's shown a selective ability to help feed and nourish the lactobacillus and bifidobacterium in True Life PB, and that's commonly found in probiotic supplements. Again, because it is most prominently what's found in your intestines in terms of probiotics. But what's nice about the Actazin kiwi extract, it's been shown to help promote the good bacteria without also feeding the bad stuff. Okay, so it has this selectability, which is kind of nice, right? So we include Actazin kiwi in there. And again, if you look at one of our, you won't be able to see it here, but here's an example of a True Life capsule. There is some, you might see some specks in there that look dark to you. That's just the kiwi fruit. There's nothing wrong with the capsule. And then we have a second prebiotic ingredient, something called FOS, which stands for fructooligosaccharides. Okay, basically our probiotic bacteria is kind of made in a bed of this FOS. Okay, again, it basically FOS comes from inulin, which basically sourced from chicory root, and it's a nice prebiotic to help you again to help those probiotic bacteria flourish in your body. Okay. So, look, with a great probiotic, you can really help improve your gut health quickly. A lot of our customers, start to see benefits after, a few weeks. And then with regular use, you can really keep and maintain that gut health over time. So if you want to see more information on True Life PB, you can click the link below in the YouTube description or the podcast show notes. If you're new to Nature City, we welcome you and love the chance to serve you. So that's it for this week's episode. I'm Carl Pradelli, and I will see you next week.